I feel like I should wear my Christmas hat for this movie. So we are talking about Krampus, the Christmas Devil, 2013 movie, directed by Jason Hull, actually written by him as well. And this movie is not to be confused with the higher budget 2015 movie simply called Krampus, also another Krampus movie, Christmas Horror Story, again, not that movie. So this one stars J. Dobyns, and basically, in case you don't know what Krampus is, it's essentially the evil equivalent of Father Christmas, Santa Claus. And in this movie, it's Krampus's job to punish the evil children. So basically, while Father Christmas is going out giving presents to all the good kids, Krampus is out doing wicked things to the bad kids. And in this movie, they're actually in cahoots as well. They're not at odds. They're actually almost like two sides of the same coin. Although, to be fair, Father Christmas seems like a bit of an asshole in this movie as well, I have to say. It is kind of a bit of a tongue-in-cheek film. Now, with low-budget horror films, I have to prefix this by saying I do have to take into effect that this film is a micro-budgeted film, so I cannot hold it in the same regard as a kind of even a medium budget horror film, because this film really isn't as pretty much an amateur effort. So if you are a fan of low-budget films, then you kind of might check this out. But if you want that kind of slick production value, then you're going to be turned off by the kind of the amateurish nature of this movie. So. The actual plot of this film focuses on this police detective who is trying to sort of track down what's happened to these missing kids, and obviously he's actually had an experience when he was younger, and obviously Krampus is going around, you know, kidnapping and doing things with these kids. We also have more of a mortal threat, so this kind of a bit of a B storyline with this kind of like this human criminal also causing trouble, and these kind of stories intersect as the sort of the film progresses. And it's basically this kind of police guy and his kind of follically challenged police mates, I suppose, attempts to stop them. So let's talk about the positive of this film. I feel the ambition of this film is pretty high. It actually tries to do, I feel, have a fairly sort of complex plot, and it plays a little bit like almost like a procedural. So if you're a fan of things like CSI and stuff, it almost kind of reminds me of a type of movie. So I was surprised actually the amount of almost investigating here. It's a little bit more of an ambitious plot than I was probably expecting. So the other thing I would say, I kind of like, even though this is very cheap looking, I actually kind of quite like the look of Krampus as well. He's this kind of big tall dude with a scary kind of, well, it's clearly a mask, but he's meant to be this kind of horny, like kind of skeletal kind of demon looking face. And I actually think he looks kind of cool. I actually quite like the look. It looks kind of good in a still picture, I have to say. When it's kind of moving, it's clearly a mask, but like I said, budget restraints. But I actually thought the actual Krampus monster was pretty damn cool. But I have to be honest with you, this film is so low budget, you have to be a kind of B-movie enthusiast to really make the most of this film. Like I said, I thought the plot was actually fairly good for a kind of a lower budget film. It had a little bit more writing than you'd maybe expect. It wasn't quite as straightforward as like this film. But there's a lot of time spent here on the B plot, I feel, because obviously there's no sort of special effects involved and things like that. So it does take a focus away from the kind of the main Krampus story, if you like. The acting, everything about this film is obviously at a cheaper level. The acting, the lighting, dialogue, everything is cheap. It's kind of sometimes hokey. The line delivery is kind of a little bit on the cliche side. I do feel they did a fairly good job of kind of some of the interpersonal relationships, especially between the police officer. I kind of it felt quite natural and almost like genuine conversation. But this is a sparse movie. There's not a lot of effects. They kind of, when we do see effects, they are on the cheaper side. It still has a kind of a certain amount of charm, I felt. Like I said, I kind of liked the main character, and I kind of quite like the look of the Krampus. But I have a kind of appreciation of B-movie horror films. So, like I said, you do have to be a B-movie horror film fan to kind of really get much from this film. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else, to be honest with you. You know, I quite like the kind of the snowy kind of backdrops and stuff they have here. But like I said, pretty much every other aspect of this film is just so low budget. I feel it kind of really takes away from what could have been maybe a fairly decent film. But as a whole, I have to say the look of it. Well, for most people, you're not going to enjoy this film. I would give this movie a 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me comments, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.